Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain and welcome back. Now today, I've had a few people all of a sudden all come to me kind of asking me questions and talking to me about people that they are attracted to, but they feel that they're out of their league, that they're too good for them, and stuff like that. And it's something that I've had come up a lot since I started coaching, since I started looking into dating and kind of the confidence side of things and bringing that to coaching, because those are such big problems that people have. And it's an interesting thing because we tend to forget a lot the would otherwise help us remedy these situations where we feel like so and so is out of our league, and both guys and girls do it. I mean, guys may very well voice the concern more regularly, but you know, girls go through exactly the same thing. We're all people who lose sight of stuff. And so, you know, the first thing I just want to say before I get into anything else is that leagues don't exist. At birth, we aren't taken from the various places that we are born, and then all of us kind of categorized and gone, right, well, this is League 1, League 2, League 3, doesn't exist, isn't real. First thing to get like solid in your head is that it's you and your mind and your worries playing tricks on you. That's all it is. It's you being intimidated, you being concerned, you being worried, and then just being hard on yourself with it. And so the thing that spools out from this, and hopefully that realization, is that there are three things that we need to remind ourselves on and need to pay attention to without fail. Because if we kind of don't pay attention to these things, then all we do is get in our own way. So the first thing that you need to keep in mind is that how we view ourselves is different to how others view us. Yeah, and that's an incredibly important, it's possibly the most important thing in all of this. Yeah, and that is the we have this perception of ourselves, and so kind of we might feel that we're friendly, we might feel we're warm, that we're loving and caring, all the rest of it. Someone across the other side of the room who either doesn't know us or even knows us quite well, works with us on the day-to-day, whatever, they may have the perception of us of being much colder or scarier than we are, because again, our point of reference on ourselves is from within our own heads, and so it's not really getting truly objective and kind of broad information about ourselves. It's all these specific things that we pick out that we like about ourselves. And especially if you have lower self-esteem anyway, then you are going to hold yourself to a lower standard, and you're going to hold yourself to a much lower end of things in regards to social interaction and stuff like that. And so when it comes to those areas where you've got people who are on the lower end of things, then you see them either lashing out, whereby it's not just, oh, they're out of my league, it's the, oh, well, why aren't you coming over and loving me? Or it's the other way around, where it's all turned inward and it's no one's ever going to love me. And that's just sad. Both of those are sad. And it's kind of troubling to see that in a lot of people, both people that I care about, people that I don't care about. It's like, you're potentially an awesome individual, stop beating yourself up about it. But again, like in Disc, when I'm going through profiles with people, there are three graphs that are generated from Disc, as I've shown before. You've got the one where you see yourself in a certain situation, the one where other people will see you in that situation, and then the last one is how you react under stress in that situation. And so with all of those things, you know, there's a very obvious split between how you see yourself and then how you have experienced people perceiving you. You know, and it stands substantially apart. You know, there will be kind of the interaction inside, the interaction outside, and they don't always match up. You know, the more consistent you are, the more confident you are, they match up better. But for the most part, if you're kind of hard on yourself, worried about things all the time, then they're going to be very different, or at least substantially different in one way or another, from what I've observed. And so, when you look in a mirror and you go, I'm a 6, I'm maybe a 5. I'll give myself the benefit of the doubt. I'm a 6 because I don't like this about me, and I don't like this about me, and I don't like this about me. And last night I did this thing that I didn't like, and then I didn't like this either. And it's like, well, hold on, you're being way too specific, because you look at your face every day in the mirror. You're going to be so much harder on yourself than someone that sees you every couple of days. Yeah? Those imperfections, those little things, they're going to stand out to you because you see them again and again and again. And so you've run out of the broad strokes picture of yourself to take in. You're only picking out the little bits. And so when you see someone and you're like, wow, they're a 10, just wow. But I'm a 6, I can't compare with that. How do you know that? And that's what brings us on to our second point here, is that what you find attractive is going to be completely different from what other people find attractive. As if that wasn't straightforward enough already, there are going to be people on various different ends of things. If you can have the differentiation between guys liking girls and girls liking girls and guys liking guys, then should it really be that much of a jump to go, well, I personally, for instance, find the girls of my height or shorter are fine. Ones taller than me, they put me on edge, and I don't find them attractive. There's much more of a kind of grey barrier again in my mind's eye when it comes to kind of perceiving those individuals. Why? I don't fucking know. But it's the things that I am drawn to. It's the things that I am attracted to, and it's not necessarily something that you can control. It's those individuals who you can read about in both tabloids and in some instances scientific studies and all that kind of thing, where they have these odd triggers, actual psychological conditions when you find yourself romantically and sexually attracted to inanimate objects, for instance. They can't necessarily help that that's what they experience, they just experience it. And so when it comes to, oh, well, I'm out of their league, I'm this, I'm that, and the other, you don't know until you have been and talked to them and asked them. You've got a 50-50 chance, be you a guy, be you a girl, of someone turning around to you and saying, yeah, actually, yes, let's go get a drink together, or letting you down, and saying no. What's the worst that could happen? If you're a guy, then you go up and ask a girl or a guy or whoever, to go out for in whatever way that you feel. And what's the worst that's going to happen? They give you a fake number. They tell you that that they have a boyfriend. They politely decline. They laugh at you and walk away. Guess what? None of those things actually really do anything to you. I say, let's flip it around the other way. Girl walks up to a guy, and what's the worst thing that happens? If he's declining her, he says no, lets her down easy, maybe lets her down a little harder, or says, I have a girlfriend or whatever else. You basically get to the same result of it's rejection. But what's the worst that happens from that? Basically nothing. You've not changed state. You're in the same state you are to begin with. But again, it's basically a coin toss. Because on direct first interaction, you don't know what that person is going to say. You don't know what that person is into. You don't know if they like you or not already, depending on how much interaction you've had with them in the past. Simply put, you're gonna miss out on 50% of things, just taking it normally, but you're gonna miss out of 100% of it if you just go, oh, I'm not good enough for them, so I won't even bother asking. No, go and ask, go and say hi, go and, it has to start somewhere. If you don't start somewhere with just a hello or something like that, then you're definitely not getting anywhere, because they don't even know you exist. There are there are cues that are given off, there are things that are done, but we miss them. Both guys miss them from girls, and girls miss them from guys. And yet, imagine if the cues weren't all that important, because if you liked the person, you just went and said hello. Yeah? It can be nerve-wracking, it can be terrifying, it can leave you with what-ifs if you don't go and do it, and it can go and leave you with a battered and bruised kind of pride and ego if you do. But also it can lead you to either making friends, to getting into relationships, to actually just having a good time, to finding what you want. And that's what's important. You can't say what people find attractive or not compared to other people. For instance, I much prefer someone who's more humble, who's more inclined towards not just going out and throwing kind of as much money around as possible, and being as extravagant as possible. Yeah? And so, if people are going, oh, I found this cool thing, and I did it really inexpensively, and I did whatever, I'm probably more inclined to go, that's more of an attractive trait than someone that came up to me and went, here's a load of money. Yeah, this is what I'm going to be splashing out on again and again and again. I tell people not to get me gifts and things because I don't want them. There's no substance around it, and it feels at times like people are trying to buy my affection. I'd much prefer someone to not necessarily come and feed off me, obviously, but someone to come and meet me as an equal and just be like, I have resources, you have resources, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to splash out on you. You don't need to splash out on me. We're just going to relax. There's a time and a place for those things. It's not otherwise. But again, there are going to be people who go... in fact, I know girls and guys who are both like, they see an attractive woman with a lot of money and they go, my future wife. Or they go, oh, this guy just rocked up in this really expensive car and he's got just cash falling out of his pockets. That's my future husband. Whilst I'm sat there going, well, she seems to be really undeserving of that and a bit more than a spoilt brat. She seems terrible. And this guy seems like the most vapid arsehole on the planet. But that's, again, my preferences. It's a me viewing them through the lens of what I find appealing and what I don't, and that's all that matters. Same with things like social status and stuff like that as well. Seeing a guy go in and be very well connected with absolutely everyone is sometimes really attractive to people. They're like, oh wow, like, geez, look at that. But then there are also those people who go, oh wow, look at that guy, he's just knows everyone, and it becomes either daunting or it becomes a case of well, why would I want to be in the center of that with that person all the time? That's not my place to be, and so they get turned off by it. It all comes down to personal preferences, what people are looking for, and you don't know that because you can't, unless you've actually gone and interacted with that person. And so then the last thing that stands out is things like personality and confidence. This last point here is about what you've got inside. It's there are people who will make or break based on everything that they've got. So when I say everything that they've got, the film over the surface, what they've got on in regards to their looks and their appearance and even some of the stuff they do, it's all very superficial. It doesn't really mean anything in the long run. And on top of that, in regards to kind of how people look, it's very easy to still get kind of driven away by what they do, what they say, how they interact with people, and so on and so forth. As said, it should always be kind of one of the pieces of advice that I give people at times when they come and talk to me about this stuff is look at the way they treat other people. Are they kind? Are they reasonable to the plights of others? When you go to a restaurant, when you go to a coffee shop, are they pleasant and reasonable to the people on the other side of the counter? Do they only get annoyed if there's justifiable reason to? It's those kind of things that stand out. You being a good, nice person, even if you're a bad boy. We've talked about this before when we went over the scale of a person. A bad boy or a bad girl, they're not necessarily just assholes. That's the couple along. They're people who are there who are willing to, assert themselves and be kind of self-focused, but not necessarily self-centered, and that stands out. Though you much prefer to have an absolutely amazing boyfriend or girlfriend who maybe isn't the most amazing looking, but they stand out as being everything that you want, everything that you need, and they've got kind of bucket loads of it to provide you, rather than just a guy who's a guy or girl even rather, who's your ideal in terms of appearances, but is otherwise hugely egotistical, vastly narcissistic, incredibly insecure, aggressive with trying to force their higher self-esteem onto you and onto others, always seeking validation, all those kind of things. It's like you're going to be infinitely more attractive if you are friendly, have a good sense of humor, and are reasonable with people, rather than purely if you're attractive. And this is, again, what we were talking about the other day in regards to the dating gap. You need to take people as a whole rather than just the individual traits, because the individual traits, as was demonstrated by the statistics that I quoted from places like OkCupid and Tinder, they don't function well. Yeah, when it's a meat market, value in the individual, value in the person themselves is lowered substantially, and you don't get kind of a solid appreciation for the person as a whole, and that's why you've got people, not finding love, because either they're not willing to ask, or the people who aren't willing to ask aren't interacting with the people who aren't willing to see past one individual trait or a small selection of them. Take the person as a whole, see how they are, go and interact with them, go and ask, go and talk, go on dates, and see how things pan out. That's the only way to deal with this. And the first thing, the first big step to even contemplating doing that, even dealing with that at all, is don't go and lock yourself away in completely imagined league tables. What would I call a 10? Well, right now, my girlfriend. What would I call a 10 otherwise? Well, I don't know. What would I call a 9? Well, I still don't know. 8, 7. What would I call a 1? A 1 would be someone who tried to attack me with a knife. That I can be, or a gun, or trying to in some way harm me as part of the interaction. A 1 or a 0. That would be kind of that area. Beyond that, though, the middle ground, take everyone as an individual, interact with them directly, get to know them, talk to them. Everything starts with hello, so start it with hello. Say hi, go and take a risk, take a chance, and see how it goes. Because, quite frankly, there are so many people who either for attention and validation play the, oh, I don't look good enough, oh, I'm too fat, oh, I need to do more of this, oh, I need to do more of that, and they get that attention because they know that they can play it, because they've actually got higher self-esteem in various ways. But then you've got the actual people who are absolutely stunning, yeah, both physically, really nice people, and all the rest of it, and they beat themselves up again and again and again until they are lonely cat people, like locked away behind as many layers of steel reinforced comments about, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, they're in a higher league than I am, and so on and so on and so on, until they end up just being lonely and being stuck there, and it takes an awful lot to get them back out again. Don't make the mistake of walking into that place in the first place. Just go, there are no leagues. Same way there is no spoon, there are no leagues. Just accept what's in front of you and deal with those people directly. That would be my only advice, and keep in mind those 3 things, which again are we view each other differently from how we view ourselves. We each find different things attractive. You can't know unless you've been and talked to someone. And then personality and what you've got in terms of the way you are inside and the way that you act on the world, rather than just how you look whilst doing it, are far, far more important in so many different ways than tackling stuff like, oh, I'm never going to be as sought after as that guy because that guy has perfect white teeth and incredibly symmetrical face and a body like Apollo. You know, that's not going to do an awful lot for anybody if he's the biggest asshole on the planet who kicks puppies. You know, it's just the way that things are. We're from a evolutionary perspective, we're looking for the best possible mate. What's the best possible mate? Yeah, they need good genes. Yeah, they need to be attractive and stuff like that, and they need to be healthy and so on. But they also need to be able to work with the tribe. They need to be able to have enough confidence to carry forward, and so on and so forth. And so those are the things that people are looking for, both in terms of men looking for women, women looking for men, men looking for men, women looking for women, and everything in between. In one way or another, people are always trying to look for these core things. You know, it's why people, celebrities and so on, who happen to be physically attractive but then also do great stuff, you know, giving to charity, going and giving amazing interviews where they are just themselves and there's no pretense, there's no kind of subtext or anything like that. They are just very genuine when it comes to interviews and things. Those people gain much faster, bigger followings, are much more sought after, and so on and so forth than anyone else. Why? Because they are more attractive on a plethora of different levels, rather than just because, oh, they're hot. So those are the things to keep in mind, guys. I hope above all hopes that the whole I'm this league, they're that league thing kind of slowly drifts away and fades away the more people become aware of these things, because it's just a nonsense, and it just doesn't help anybody. You know, all those people who get demoralized just because they are setting themselves apart from others based on their own imagined perceptions, you know, that's where, you know, you're potentially ruining your life, you're potentially ruining someone else's life. Because imagine if the two of you got together and you'd had an amazing life together because of each other. Wouldn't that be grand? You know, that's the thing that stands out. So I'm hoping that this video helps. But otherwise, guys, leave your comments down below. You know, have you ever found yourself in the situation where you're going, oh, they're in one league, I'm in another? I found myself in those situations numerous times when I was younger, and it took me a fair while, even after my confidence had grown and even after I'd done a whole load of other stuff, to actually shrug that off and move into places where I thought I'd be happier. Turns out I wasn't, but you don't know until you try. So otherwise, guys, you know, leave your experiences down below. I'd love to hear what you've been through, and I'm sure everyone else would as well. So otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful or interesting, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.